Oh, I see we're live already. And we're trying out the new background music.
You sure are.
Excellent stuff. It seems a bit loud to me.
Okay.
I'm going to drop it a little bit and let people tell us what they think. It just needs to be subtle, doesn't it? But a nice choice of music, Mrs. M.
Thank you.
And welcome back to your Inspiracy Theory Show. And we will be meeting like this in 30-minute chunks, won't we?
Yeah.
And when you hear that music come back, it will mean it's the end of the show. Okay?
Yeah.
Are you just getting in the zone or what?
I'm just I'm kind of following your cue, and you seem kind of low key today.
Well,
Carl.
yeah, it's nearly 10 o'clock here on the Iberian Peninsula. It's been a busy day. It's been a really busy weekend.
It has, hasn't it?
And of course, tiredness is just an idea.
So what are we reflecting on today then?
Well, I shared the ultimate conspiracy theory yesterday.
Yeah.
I could give my opinion about the point of view about alien invasion, because that seems to be all the rage, doesn't it, at the moment?
Do you know what? I've stayed off all of the news feeds today.
Yeah, but you say that, but you still know about the Ohio explosion.
Yeah, but that's because that's been going on for a little while.
Okay. At the time we launched this Inspiracy Theory show, conspiracy theories seem to be just, sorry, pardon choice of words, but blowing up. Alien invasion, explosions that are being or aren't being reported.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're not here, are you?
I'm making notes.
Okay, because we tried to record a jingle today where I said, "Hey, you, what are you doing? Time to get in your body and out of your mind."
Yeah.
Because that's what this is about as well. Okay. It's about us coming into the present.
Down. I was literally just making.
I understand. I totally get it. I totally get how the mind works. But this, we hope, is an oasis of peace and calm for people to feel back in their body. Well, to sense life in their body right now.
Okay.
And not just be a load of ideas vying for attention and supremacy, which is what the most of the world is, right? And you know this feel-good thing you talk about, feel-good astrology, feel-good conversations. I had another idea today.
Really?
I think, what is this? These headphones are ruining my hair. But anyway, that's just a worldly concern and part of my vanity. Feel good first. Make America great again. For example, slogan, 3-part slogan. No, that's make America. That's 4 words. How did they get away with that? They didn't, did they? It was very controversial. But feel good first. Before talking, before thinking, how about just checking in to as good a place as you can find in your body right now? Why doesn't the world work like that? No wonder the world's in a state. And I say the world, I don't mean life. I mean the world. I mean the world of politicians and the mainstream media and all where the conspiracy theory conversation lives. It's madness. It's complete and utter bonkers madness, isn't it? And it's becoming more and more so by the day. And people can sense that and feel that. And then that's the 20% or a tiny percent inside the macrocosm of life. So that's living, but living takes place within life, and life is beautiful. So why not connect with life and the beauty of life before entering into the world of the living, rather than the other way around?
Liking that a lot.
So should we do it now then?
Okay.
Because you've put 2 big dongs into this.
Yeah, well, who doesn't like a big dong? But
halfway through a podcast. It can be a little bit inconvenient and messy. However, we will have a bit like, I suppose, when you're doing your Zen training or whatever, mindfulness or whatever it is people do, to contort themselves into impossible states of mind and body just to prove that they're spiritual.
Yeah.
There is a ding, isn't there, that can help bring everybody back into the present, and that's what we'll do without wanting to be too pretentious. Let's see when that dong goes off, where we are.
It's actually a gong.
Where you're
calling it a dong is
it doesn't like a big gong in the morning.
It's just a bit salacious, isn't it? So yeah, I'm really hearing what you're saying there. You know, it's important for us to, you know, how I have it. You know, what you're saying is it's important for us to, a bit like what they say when you're on an airplane, sort yourself out first before you sort out the small children.
Oh, no,
and by the small children, you're referring to
yourself.
all the
yourself.
No.
Yes,
well, okay.
I'm saying
sort
yourself
out first before you sort the world out.
What is it that Jamie Cato says that Chris Paradox used to quote?
I can't remember.
We are a guru in charge of a mental patient.
Okay.
That is us, the guru in charge of the mental patient. So yes, put your mask on first. let the real you sort itself out, be
Yeah.
present in that, such that he or she or they can take care of the worldly you.
Yes.
Now,
And may I just add in, just for the sake of not upsetting people, not because
too late for that, I think.
not because I feel that it's my responsibility not to upset people. I do actually think that the world has gone a little bit bonkers in terms of trying to make everything really acceptable to people, because if you're getting upset with something, it's also your responsibility to resolve that. And I recognize that, as I said, that I've probably just peed off a few people.
But you don't know.
But
that's just your thought.
Just, what I'm saying is, when you were talking about MAGA and then put your own mask on first, like masking up, you're not actually referring to actual masks from the pandemic.
Do you know what?
And in mentioning MAGA, it's not because you're
I don't care.
saying hallelujah
Tonight,
about it
I
or
do not care. If you've got your panties in a bunch because I said "Make America Great Again,"
Yeah.
take a look at yourself. Calm down and look at what's going on to you at the moment. You have been psychically, ideologically possessed by something, by an old idea, an old hurt or emotion. And if you're really even more upset now, don't listen to this. This isn't for you.
That's pretty radical what you're
Yes,
sharing.
it is.
Let's just unpack that a little bit more until the big
I
gong
love it
goes
when you
off.
talk really close into the microphone.
Okay, let's talk really firmly and calmly about this.
I'm
So
having fun. I'm
You've
playing.
actually laid down the gauntlet there, that if anybody is, offended, that maybe this isn't the show for them.
Well, it
But
might not be.
Yeah.
In two ways. Firstly, because like you, I don't want to cause offence, and if
Yeah.
I am, it is best you don't listen. And if you do want to listen and get over it, I'm here for you.
Okay, that's a nicer way of putting it.
Yeah, and I don't want to cause any upset or offence. I do want to have fun and say what I want to say, and I will address people who are interested in having a conversation about it, such that they can be free.
Yeah.
If they want to fight and be right, that's yours. I'll give it to you now. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. You're better than me. Your ideas are better than mine. Happy now? Now go away and feel good about that.
Okay.
But if you really want to feel great and have fun tonight, and I mean intrinsic, real fun, your real you, let's do that. Let's have that happen now. Because I can't really give that to you. You can only give that to yourself. And it might be through the Inspiracy Theory idea or ideas or conversation that you do but allow yourself to have that. So I'm not, although that sounds really mischievous, I don't mean to be, honestly. It's just where I'm at right now.
I'm kind of fascinated, like you said, that the world is ideologically possessed at the moment, and that's not necessarily something that people will understand or not. I mean, one thing that I would say is, up until 3 years ago, I had no idea, from all of my clients, I had no idea what somebody's political affiliations were or what their thoughts about the world were.
And why should you?
Exactly. I had absolutely zero idea, what their religion was, what their politics were. I just had every one of my clients as being a really cool person.
Yeah.
And I just trusted that they were all really nice and doing the best that they could in their life,
Yeah.
and
That's a lovely place to begin, isn't it?
it really is. And then what I've noticed over the course of the last few years is that people have taken positions. And I think a lot of that is being encouraged by media and memes and social media.
Malarkey like this.
Yeah,
podcasts.
lots. Well, yeah, there's been a lot of it. And people have been really encouraged to take positions, and they've almost been rewarded for having some positions, and then they've been censored or put off if they've had other positions. And since then, it's got really, really crazy. And it sounds like I'm breathless, but I think you've put on a noise gate. Have you put something on? It's really
It sounds
annoying
like
me. Will you take it
Watergate,
off?
noise gate, and
will you
you've got better headphones than me.
Will you take off?
I've done
Whatever.
it. All
Okay,
right.
thank
Yeah,
you.
you're getting the panties in a bunch now, aren't you?
Yeah, well, you're messing
Do
around
you know,
with my
because
mic, man.
and I'm controlling what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh, there's our first gong.
So just in case we got a little bit carried away there.
Yeah, well, I was getting a little
you
bit
triggered?
carried. I was triggered by getting wound up about the mic. And now I realize, there's nothing to be worried about.
I've sorted it out, and you saw yourself being upset.
Yeah.
Which
All I
is
needed to
different
do was
being
just
upset,
say it.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that gong.
Actually, I quite liked it too.
I found that cleansing. I found my inside settled a little bit.
Well,
in that moment.
I didn't, but I really liked having. I really liked having that.
What's winding me up is you constantly banging the desk and shaking the camera.
Okay.
Well, but even saying that, I'm over it.
Okay. Well, what I really liked about that gong was it reminded me that, everything is happening in little parts, in little bitty chunks, and that we can break everything down, and that things are easier when we do things one step at a time.
Wasn't he a Jamaican reggae artist? Little bitty chunks. Dancehall sensation.
Yeah, you're crazy. Right. So anyway, up until a few years ago, I had no idea what my clients were, thought, did, anything like that. And then
did you not become worried about it in case you offended them?
Yeah, well, I have to say that in the course of my work over the last few years, it's been really strange talking to people, and I've been minding my P's and Q's in case I've caused offense. And I would say that it's very difficult to do any kind of true and accurate coaching, or in fact, any kind of work where you're looking over your shoulder or worrying about what's going on at the same time. It really kills the creativity, and it kills the connection. It kills the empathy.
Yeah, because you're thinking, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're thinking, not thinking.
You're thinking your way out of it rather than being in the moment and in the present for the person that you're with. And, it appears that gone are the days that you could just, feel a moment of offense or feel upset about something and just say, when you said that, I didn't like it. And then the other person say, oh, I'm really sorry about that. Or actually, I don't give a monkeys or whatever.
But those, we can make those days, can't we? If that's how we live, these are the days of that again.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's really interesting you should say that, because that is, people do say that a lot, don't they? In the kind of culture war zone, where there are the woke bashers and the snowflake bashers, and these old farts who just get upset about what young people are saying. And millennials and so on, and to seek it out so that they can get upset about it. And then they'll say things like, yeah, back in my day, you could say what you wanted. And they also say, yeah, and then your dad would punch you in the face, or a policeman would clip you around the ear. It's like nothing really changes. And you can't there's always a consequence, but it's a different kind of consequence now, isn't it? And if you want to live like that, then live like that. And like life is, you face the consequences, don't you? Live how you want to. Well, I'm totally with you.
I would also say, like, growing up in the obviously late 70s, and like, being like in my coming into my early teens in the 80s, or towards the late 80s, we were in times that we were learning deception quite easily. So for instance, where your parents like told you what you could and couldn't do, and because there was nothing you could do about it, it's my way or the highway. While you're living in this house, you'll do as you're told. And
and when you've got your own house, you can make the rules.
Yes, when you've got your own house, you can do what you like. And it was the same at school. There was this kind of real level of no bullshit. Like it's my way or the highway, fit in or clear off. And
but the bullshit was that they weren't doing that, were they?
Yes. Well, that's the big news is, all our parents were doing that.
My parents were not having a very good relationship. My dad was having affairs. It's like, well, actually, to be fair, I mean, and I'm not judging that. I just think it's interesting that on the one hand, it seems so right and righteous, doesn't it? That old age of like, these are the rules of the house, and shape up or shift or F off or whatever.
Shape
when
up
in
or
fact
ship
they weren't more, I could accept that more if they truly were moral beacons. But they weren't. It was just a load of old, like you say, learning the deception. It was a deception of its own.
But sorry to go on. You were going to say
no,
something.
I'm done.
Well, what I was going to say is, when you grow up in that kind of landscape, in that kind of moral landscape where you're told what you can and can't do, at the end of the day, you will learn to play the system to get your needs met.
Yeah.
Because like you can't get your needs met when you're following like what your parents or what your school or what your employer says. And so you do what you want, but you do it deceptively, like you keep it hidden. So you start almost
Yeah, I
becoming a bit
definitely did that.
schizophrenic, don't you?
Yes.
You know, so you've got your life that is perfect for your home, for your parents. You've got your life that's perfect for school. And yet behind the scenes, like you're leaving the house in the morning, saying goodbye to your mum, pretending to go to school and actually bunking off and going to the museum or doing whatever it was you were doing.
And the whole society works like that.
Yeah.
Masks and roles and just playing parts.
Yes. And so what makes me a little bit, I would say concerned is, you know, in recent times, we've had a huge amount of censorship and a lot of judgment put onto people from both sides, whichever side of the political debate you're on. I mean, it's got so bad now that even if you question some things, you're called a denier, like a science denier or a climate denier or a whatever kind of denier you want. It's people don't actually listen to what it is that you might be saying, but you're just like, there's this like massive load of gaslighting that goes on and it's name calling.
Oh, so that's the old-fashioned parental technique.
What I'm saying is like the way we're going is actually back to where we were, you know, and nothing meaningful is going to come out of that. All that's going to happen is people who wanted to say something that might have been wrong, you know, from modern day standards, they're still going to think it. They're not going to say it, but they'll be saying it under their breath, you know. So you're not really creating any lasting change.
Yeah, there's no transformation.
There's no transformation. And if there's no transformation, there's like very little room for growth. There's very little
I just see
room for anything.
I see a pendulum swing.
Yeah.
You know, where the characterization you gave was when the grown-ups used to be in charge. And now there's a kind of different vocal majority telling everybody how to, or trying to tell everybody how to behave and what to say and how to think. That's what parents used to do and probably still do in many places. But it's not just parents now, is it? There are a lot of people in the political space using that tactic.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, you know, if anything, it's got worse, isn't it? That whole phenomenon of controlling people's behavior and thoughts just got worse.
Yeah, only now the fabric of families and friendships have also been eroded.
Unless we rebuild them the way we want them, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole purpose of us chatting here every day and getting clearer about, you know, what we're about.
Yes.
Also, you know, helping other people think things through for themselves as well. I'd love it that there could be a safe space where people can just come together and have these discussions without fearing that they might be name called. Or
but you sound quite woke now, wanting a safe space.
Yeah, but I'm not wanting a safe space. Yeah, no, I do. No, you're right, actually. Yeah, you are right. You know,
but it's okay as well. It's fine.
No,
I'm
you're
not
right.
saying you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm just because you talked about getting your needs met. See, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? I picked on you and your phrase "safe space."
Yeah.
Tell me about the need that gets met by the safe space you're requiring. That's what I think is powerful.
Yeah. Well, okay. Am I requiring it? I'm not sure.
No, but
I want to provide it. I want to provide a safe space.
And what need is met by that?
People feel that it's okay to have a conversation.
Beautiful.
That's all I really want is that people, I mean, I'm not saying that people have to come into a safe space to agree with each other or pander to each other or go into the deception of saying, oh, this is what I believe, to not offend the other. I just think it's
that's powerful, isn't it?
It's a place to be heard.
But can you imagine as well people saying, do you know what? I think I'm manipulating you here. I'm not being honest. Because you mentioned this, didn't you?
Yeah.
Last time we spoke in this context.
Yes.
About the kindness without honesty.
Yeah.
And if people are actually doing that to each other and saying what they want the other one to hear to look good, that's manipulation. Oh.
Let's carry on with that in a second. Hang on. Let me just.
We might not. The gong, the cleansing gong of goodness, again has addressed my inner terrain.
But I really love what you were saying there, because I did want to pick up on that point from yesterday.
Oh, about kindness without honesty.
Yeah, kindness without honesty, because
And honesty without kindness. That was a theme, wasn't it?
yeah, honesty without kindness and kindness without honesty. I was thinking earlier about the whole idea of people pleasing, and it has to be explained a little bit. Should come on the other side. Because when you're small and we're told what to say and what to do and how to be, we adapt our personalities to stay alive and to stay safe and
sensible.
You know,
no, it is sensible.
Well,
to do that.
we follow the examples of our parents. So, for instance, you know, my parents are quite social, and still are, actually, I should say. And
Yes,
you know, they're still
it's
with
true.
us. You know, my parents are very, very social, and yet, without, you know, meaning to run my parents down or anything, you know, when we used to get in the car after one of these events and drive home, I would hear my parents like dissecting in great detail what he said and what someone else then said, and then I would hear my parents' real judgments of what they thought of the people that they'd been in a room with for like 3 or 4 hours having a party with. And so that was a bit of a revelation for me, that, you know, you could have one face when you're out, and then one
two
face
realities.
two realities.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm saying my parents are duplicitous, it's what they learn.
What people do.
It's what people do.
Yeah.
And, you know, we do that as well, I guess.
We do. We definitely do that.
Yeah,
Come on, we know we do that, but it's
Yeah.
in a slightly different way, but we definitely do that.
Yeah. Because like maybe at home, it's the safe space for the family to talk about what they're talking about.
Do you know when I'm doing it in the car,
yeah,
I am thinking that our eldest is thinking, what a pair of duplicitous twats.
Yeah.
In the same way that you thought that whilst you were hearing your parents talking about behind other people's backs.
And we do
And mine
actually
too.
we do actually talk with our children about these things though as well, don't we?
As well, yeah. But I mean, we do talk.
We do call
behind
ourselves
people's
out.
backs.
We do call ourselves out.
But
when
you know,
we're
and
doing
again, I think like you said, this is not to put your parents down, or even ourselves.
Yeah.
When we're doing the same thing, I think the interesting thing here is the observation of it.
Yeah.
And to know that it's not really necessary.
Yeah.
You're not in the moment, are you? If you're talking about the party you've just been to, for one thing.
Yeah.
And you know, whilst having said all that, there might also be something useful you could learn about yourself.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, your mum and dad might have done this, and I think, you know, you and I might do it too. Is in the what looks like the judgment and criticism of other people, you can hear yourself doing it and then own it, can't you?
Yeah.
And you know,
laugh about it as well.
And move to a cleaner, purer, nicer space. Not nicer, but truer space of like, I'm just being a bitch, or I'm just being an asshole. You know, just judging somebody for being who they are and saying what they've got to say. I mean, that's good value, I think, when that occurs.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Getting back to the whole idea of people pleasing, you know, so we learn people pleasing from an early age, don't we? Because it's survival. And we learn that, you know, when we're being ourselves, people might not like us. And so it was a bit of a revelation to me when I realized that being a people pleaser might be manipulating, because
because you mentioned this yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you, like we've had quite a few strong women around us, and we've had or I've had quite a few run-ins, or the run-ins have come to me from these older matriarchal women, and I've been like, I don't understand it. I've done everything that they asked. I've been really kind. I've been really understanding. I've tried to help them, and I felt like Saint Louisa, like working with these older women who have effectively thrown a whole bunch of vile my way, and I've not understand it.
Vile.
Yeah. I mean,
B-O-V.
you might have a different sort of explanation for it, but I do.
I do. You know,
well, I'd like to hear it, because I think it would be great. But when you said to me, well, what is your part in this? And I was sort of like looking at it and thinking, well, I've just been nice. I've just been really respectful. I've been, you know, like being being what I thought was needed. I think what you pointed out to me was, but were you being real? And if I had trusted these women that I was working with, I might have actually said, you know, I don't agree with this. I don't like how you're treating me, or I don't like how you're talking to me, or I might have
I think
been.
they'd have loved you for that.
I don't think they would have done.
I think they would.
Really?
It might not have come out like that at the time.
No, I don't suppose it would have done.
But
I think they would have had more of a reason to have been offended by me.
Is it possible that these women could tell you weren't being straight and
Yeah,
were
it's
just trying to people please?
Yeah.
And they could be chronic people pleasers, although it didn't look like it.
I don't think any of them any of them are.
But they might have been. They might have been.
Once upon a time.
Yes, and they might see something in you that they. I mean, you know, this is the problem we're talking about. Might have, might not have. You know, it would be good to have one of them here to talk it through with, because then you could have some real. Then you'd have some. You know, you really have something to work at then, wouldn't you? But it is possible, isn't it, that, you know, this sort of cliche of like, yeah, they were a person who didn't suffer fools gladly, and when I stood up to them, we've all heard the story, haven't we, of when somebody stood up to the bully, and the bully really respected them, and that, I think, is something to do with what you're talking about. How when a bully knows that they are being spoken to and manipulated, it might make them even angrier and uncomfortable.
It did feel that the nicer and more helpful I was being to each of these women, the more pissed off they were getting with me.
Quite.
And so I've learned the pattern of, like, I think in working with these three women in particular, I've noticed
more and more personal.
None of these are clients, you know, just, you know, I don't have this with my clients at all.
Yes.
But I mean, this is just my own personal development, isn't it? And
well, everyone's
kind of
got stuff like this, haven't they?
Yeah,
or they
totally.
do and they don't realise
We've all got these patterns.
Definitely.
But one of the great sort of things that have happened in the last couple of years is I've sort of had boom, boom, boom with these three women, and really had the chance to see these patterns come up real close and personal. So I do think I'm going to see it coming. I think you'll see it coming for me, and we can talk about it. You know, and I don't know. I just don't think I'm going to kiss ass as much anymore with people in general. I just think I'm just going to be a bit straighter, maybe. It's a funny one.
Truer, right? I mean,
it's a funny one.
The whole aim to be truer.
Well, yeah, but I mean, part of my background is you respect your elders and you help people that might need help, and that you have compassion for people. Of course,
and elders have been taking advantage of that forever.
Yeah, they have.
And you know, there's another cliche, isn't it, that respect is earned.
Yeah.
And it is very possible to respect some elders, isn't it? And then at the same time,
we've got some great elders around us at the same time,
and want to become great elders too.
Yeah, we really do.
And everyone's an elder to someone else, aren't they? Like, you know, our youngest is an uncle to his older niece. And I spoke to my granddaughter, and I said to my 4-year-old, "Have you got something useful to say to your niece?" And he just looked at me and went, "No," which is really honest.
Yeah.
And she's older than him, and she kind of looked through the Skype or the you know, whatever it was, the WhatsApp camera, as if to say, "There's no way he can have anything useful to say to me." And it was a really honest, authentic exchange. Oh, there's the music. That's the end. You see, this stops us going on too long. This is merciful, isn't it? If you're thinking,
it's a blessed relief,
honestly,
if you're like, oh, for God's sake,
these people,
please shut up.
It's only ever going to last 30 minutes. And this is the proof of that, isn't it?
Yes, it really is.
But see you next time. Cliffhanger, right?
Yeah, it kind of is. Should we carry on with this kind of conversation next time? Yeah.
Should we see if it's still there? If it's like a nail with its head above the floorboards tearing on the bottom of our foot, or if we've just forgotten about it?
Yeah. Yeah, let us know. Maybe this has resonated with you.
Join us on Telegram, the Inspiracy Theory. T.I.T.S for short. I'm waiting for the music to rise. Does it rise, or has it risen to its highest level now?
It's going to fade off in a minute because it finishes at 30.
Oh, I say. Exciting.
There we go. Ciao, ciao.
We picked a bit soon. You've got 10 seconds to say something else if you want.
Tits.
Oh, it's on loop. Disaster.
Oh, no.
Okay, goodbye.
Ciao, ciao. See you tomorrow.